Yes, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Interesting article today on the BBC News concerning the futility of short prison sentences on the lives specifically of women. You can look that up online. It's on the BBC News if you look it up. It's by a lady called Kirsty Brewer. Do please like and subscribe. It's down there, you can do that, yeah, and maybe have a look at my interviews with Sean Atwood and James English, and a link to my book. As usual, it's there. I want to talk about this because I've been saying right from the word go with this channel that short prison sentences are contrary to common sense because they don't exactly deter or properly cause any kind of rehabilitation for the people who are sentenced to short terms of imprisonment. We're talking 12. If you get sentenced to 12 months, you're going to do 6 months. 6 months is long enough to ruin your life. You'll lose your job, likely lose your house, all the debts that you've got, any credit card debts will go unpaid, and so you come out of prison unable to function in society because it's destroyed that. Now I can see that for women it's going to be even worse because for ladies they are leaving behind probably relatively young children, they're leaving behind probably a partner who's going to be struggling to cope. So it isn't just the individual that gets into the prison system who's being punished here, it's the whole family. And for what purpose? I mean, there's an example given by Kirsty Brewer of a lady who was sentenced to, or served 3 months in prison for stealing a car jack from a garage and £3 from somebody's purse. And whilst it should be deterred that people do things like that, they shouldn't be doing it, we all agree. But it destroyed this woman's life. She found herself unable to actually get gainful employment once she'd left the system, and viewed herself as being little better than she termed herself, a scummy junkie, because she'd stolen this money and these things to actually fund her out-of-control drug habit. Well, that's a big problem in society today. But listen, if we go back in time, before the outbreak of World War One, you could go into Harrods or any major store and purchase cocaine and heroin and stuff like this, and it was used to alleviate stress, and it was sent very often in packages to the prisoner, to the people at the front, on the front line, not to prisoners, to soldiers on the front line in fighting the Germans during World War One. Quickly the government stepped in, stopped down, and made it a classified because they were losing control of the soldiers, who were quite high on cocaine and other drugs that were being shipped over. So back in time, these drugs were actually legalised. As you say, you could go into Harrods and purchase them in a nice little package. Today they're illegal and they're being dealt with. They're readily available. I mean, come on, if you can get cocaine and spice and marijuana and all that inside Strangeways jail, then they're available, aren't they? You can certainly get them out. I've never tried any myself, never tried any, which is odd, I suppose, at my age. You would have thought because I went through the 60s. What did we have in the 60s? We had Purple Hearts was one of them, never had one of them. They had a thing called Bombers or something like that. Never tried any of them, never. And they were going round the clubs when you used to go into the clubs in Manchester. What was it? I used to go into the Twisted Wheel. Anybody around my age will remember the Twisted Wheel. They used to have acts like Long John Baldry on. Played a lot of American music, Tamla stuff as well, in the early to mid 60s. From about 64 up to about 68. In 68 I left the scene to join the army. A leap of faith that was. Yeah. Just had to get away from the factory system. It was driving me nuts. Anyway, so basically the article by Kirsty Brewer is saying that punishment in prison is punishment, but it doesn't solve any problems. It does not answer society's issues, and it absolutely makes matters worse. There's, of course, once you start getting locked up in prison, and you're just virtually abandoned once you're in there, aren't you? Thrown into a cell with a couple of strangers who may abuse you, attack you, steal your goods. Yeah, you watch that thing on TV now. It's called Time. You can get it on BBC iPlayer, and it's really a very moving depiction of how prison doesn't rehabilitate you, it destroys your life. Absolutely does. And people turn to self-harming, and once they start to get abused and see themselves in a completely negative light, then sometimes the self-harm goes to the ultimate extreme, and they take their own lives. It seems that 60% of all the women who are in prison come from domestic abuse situations where their partner is abusing them, and yeah, it says that the other about 50% were experienced abuse during their childhood. Yeah. I suppose my childhood wasn't easy because my father was an extremely strict disciplinarian who used to enforce his decisions as to what was right and wrong with a homemade whip. It was a large leather strap that had been cut into strands, so he used that as a form of like self-crafted cat o' nine tails, and it bloody hurts, I tell you. But you get that through your childhood, you know, you become almost oblivious to pain. You know, you just don't feel it. Somebody hits you, seriously, somebody punches you in the head, you'd think, you know, that's going to hurt. When you've had it all the way through your childhood, then it doesn't. You just think, right, it's my turn now, and that's how it works. That's the cycle of bloody violence. Luckily, I happen to have thought this through, and have kind of conquered the urge to actually strike back quickly. You always think things through now, yeah? This is a very thoughtful article by Kirsty Brewer, and I highly recommend that you have a look at it. It's saying that a vast majority of females who are in the prison system are there for drugs and alcohol abuse and addiction. You see, if you're an addictive personality, you know, some people can have a drink, and if they never had another one, it wouldn't bother them. I mean, I particularly like Jack Daniels or a malt whiskey, you know, I like that. But if I never had another one, it wouldn't bother me, you know. I don't wake up in the morning desiring a glass of whiskey or anything like that. No, just don't. And it's the same with smoking a pipe. Occasionally, I will have a pipe of tobacco. Occasionally. If I never had another one, it wouldn't bother me. But some people can't do that. They're addicted. They become addicted. And once they're addicted, then you'll do anything to actually get at that which you are addicted to. And society needs to deal with this. And the right way to deal with it is through, I personally believe, legalising all manner of what they call controlled substances at the moment, and allow people to actually get this through their general practitioner. It makes sense to me. Do something to actually protect people from their own addictions, as opposed to throwing them into prison and destroying their lives. That's what's happening at the moment. Prison is just not the answer. It may have been the answer in the Victorian days when people were stealing and doing so quite openly, so put them into prison as a punishment for that. Or if we go back further than that, they would actually deport them, send them to America or Australia, where people are never trying to get in. Seriously, there has to be an answer, and it isn't prison. I'm now going to read you a poem. That's a song dinger, by the way, for all you out there who feel that you've got to escape. Now is the time to do it. Yeah, this is a poem by W.B. Yeats. It's The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, where I stand on the roadway, or on the pavement's grey. I hear it in the deep heart's core. W.B. Yeats, The Lake Isle of Innisfree. Do like and subscribe. Thank you very much. We'll meet again.